Have you ever been in a situation where you're working on one part of your game and another part of your game starts to slack because you haven't been giving it as much attention? Well, that's something that's happened to me a lot lately. I've been working on my form and working on my distance, and therefore my up shots have kind of struggled a little bit. In today's episode, we discuss how you can avoid that, and by how in playing in tournaments and taking a step back and reflecting on what you did well and what you didn't do well, you will be able to become a more well-rounded disc golfer. We discuss some awesome experience that we've had in disc golf lately, including the ARROWHEAD experience, as well as a recent tournament that resulted in a podium finish. As well, we talk about why fieldwork is so important and why we are challenging you to do one fieldwork session a month and how that can drastically improve your disc golf game. And if you're like me and you really like disc golf and you really want to perform well in tournaments, you might be doing one thing unintentionally to yourself that is causing you to actually play worse in your tournaments. And by not doing this thing, you can save yourself tons of strokes out on the course and therefore improve your position. If you want to do those things and you want to score better and get more podiums during your tournaments or just beat your friends in those casual rounds and league nights, make sure you stay tuned all the way through the end of the episode to find out what that is and how you can stop doing it to play better. If you missed last week's episode with Lucas Deal, make sure you check it out after this episode to learn how you can become a more accurate disc golfer, as well as you will love our episode that we did a couple weeks ago with Jake Kiepenheimer, where he teaches us how we can all improve our putting and how just a little bit of a change will allow for more putts to go in the basket. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening to us from. Our goal is to hit 1,000 YouTube subscribers. So if you could go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe and like button, we would definitely really appreciate that. Make sure the notification bell is turned on because we have new podcasts dropping every Monday, new YouTube videos every single Wednesday. But that's enough chit chat. Let's get into today's episode right now. Trenton, what's going on, bud? How we doing, man? How was the weekend? Any good disc golfing going on for you?
Yeah, man. Had a, first of all, what's happening? Had a great weekend. Went down to Lake Texoma, did a little whoopah fishing, and max, or what do you call it? We hit a 3-man limit on some stripers, and then did that in the morning, and then had some lunch. Had me some turkey tacos. Don't remember what the place was called. In a town really close to Texoma in Texas, and then went and played disc golf at a really fun track. Let me look it up what it's called. I should have had this ready. A really awesome course it's called Munson Park in Denison, Texas. 4.5-star rating, nice elevation. It's a par, let's see here, 62. A lot of elevation change. It was a great time. Did not shoot as great as I wanted to, but me and my buddy Josh Olson, shout out to you, had a great time. We tied, and yeah, how about yourself?
Yeah, also, I mean, truly shout out to Josh. Josh, I don't know if you listen to this podcast, you should, but literally Josh is probably the reason that you and I even know the other person exists. Because a little tea for you, during the very first tournament of the year at the kickoff here in Wichita, I was walking back. I played with Josh, I think both rounds, and I was walking back towards Tournament Central with him, and he was just asking me where I work at, and I told him, and then he said, "No way, I have a buddy who also works there." And then we introduced ourselves to each other, and then eventually we went and played disc golf and hit it off, as the kids say. But yeah, so shout out to Josh. But yeah, man, I had a fantastic weekend. I was exhausted on Sunday night, and my fiance really gave me the old, "Oh really, you're exhausted? You literally got to do everything you wanted this past weekend," because I played so much disc golf. I did the ARROWHEAD experience up there in KC on Saturday. That was so much fun. And then I played in the Forefathers Fling in Derby, Kansas, and had my best ever result up there. So, super excited where the game is going. and just feeling good right now in disc golf, man. Listening to these guests coming on really does pay off.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. I'm on a little bit of a streak where I can't go play tournaments or anything. But all right, let's get into that Arrowhead experience a little bit. How was that? Do you have any of the sweet discs handy that you can show off, or are they up in the bag somewhere?
I have the EMAC Truth so if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're not watching on YouTube, go over there and check it out now.
And subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. This is the disc that I paid extra money to get, and it was pretty good. I threw it a couple of times, and every time I threw it, it was awful for me, so that was kind of awkward. But they gave you a EMAC Judge and a moonshine, maybe not moonshine, I don't remember what they called it, some sort of fuse. I knew as soon as I heard fuse, I said, wow, that's going to be very flippy. And so it was a ton of fun. Driving 6 hours in one day sucks. So that, especially with gas prices as high as they are, oh my goodness. But it was a blast. Honestly, it was a once in a lifetime experience for me. If you're looking to buy this disc, it could still be for sale. So maybe hit me up on Instagram. I am willing to part ways with this custom EMAC Truth if you're willing to pay the right price. So yeah, it was a great event. Being able, I'm a huge Chiefs fan, huge Kansas City fan, and being able to be on the literal field that my football team plays on and just look around, and it's so much fun. And honestly, one of my favorite parts of the event was being on the field and looking at where my fiance and I sat during the playoff game that we went to and the other Chiefs games that we've gone to, and just, being able to think of those memories, so much fun. And so really the way it was laid out was you kind of started up think about the stadium in 3 sections, right? You kind of have your lower level and then your middle level and then the upper deck. So we were started at the top of the lower level, if that makes sense, not on the field, but you walk up to where you would walk down. We're standing there. They had the literal PA announcer there, and so he would say your name and where you're from, and then you'd tee off. So that was really cool. The card that I played on was fantastic. They all knew each other, and I was the odd man out, but they never once made myself or my fiance feel like we weren't a part of the group. So they were awesome. There was even an FPO world champ on there, so that was pretty cool. And so yeah, it was so much fun. There were 9 holes. I went 6 down. I won the card. I don't know where I finished. Pretty much when we got done, we just kind of headed out. I don't know if I would have won anything or whatever. I didn't think that 9 down was going to be good enough, to be honest. Or excuse me, 6 down was going to be good enough to win anything. Something that I think I picked up on, and maybe not everyone else did, was that it was literally useless to throw the fuse, at least for my arm speed. I knew if I threw the fuse, it was going to flip over to the right. Absolutely zero reason to do it. There were 3 holes where we were throwing down, and so you want to throw something just a touch over stable. The putter was fine enough for me, and you just want to aim down and put a little bit of hyzer on it, and it'll do exactly what you want. If you throw it level, and this goes for anything, if you're throwing a shot downhill, if you aim level, it is going to go way more left than you want it to. So you need to aim a little bit right and aim down so it actually falls to the left and it doesn't just hyzer out really short. So that's a little pro tip for you. And when we were playing around the concourse, I never really took the approach of, oh, I'm going to go for the ace. I was like, I'm just going to birdie every single time and feel good about myself. And so I would throw the EMAC Judge 50 short and just let it slide on the concrete up to the basket, and that was a pretty good strat.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time. Totally wish I could have done it, but I wouldn't have traded my fishing trip for anything. Had a good time with my buddy and his friends. I do want to say, you used to be a fuse thrower, and I used to throw the EMAC Truth all over the place, and now, I mean, you didn't throw it at this tournament thing or experience because it doesn't sound like you needed to, but you have totally switched.
I have. I mean, I literally have. I remember, 4 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, something like, probably closer to 4 weeks ago. You were like, you should try the EMAC Truth. I think you'd like it. And be like, no. not happening. I've tried it before. It sucks. And then I decided to try it, and I was like, wow, this thing's a banger. I'm fully committed. Get out of my bag, Buzz. Get out of my bag, Rock. Like, I don't need any of those. The mid range that I'm picking out is the EMAC Truth. And yeah, and I did have a fuse. And my fuse was pretty good. Like, I really did like it for quite a while. And then I don't know if it's definitely a me thing. I just kept flipping it over too dang much, and I just couldn't trust it. It went from something that I could trust to be pretty straight, maybe it'll hyzer out at the end, whatever, not a wide variance, and then just I can't trust it anymore. It'll roll over and I know it's a me thing, but it's too flippy for what I want to throw.
Well, I mean, you've been putting in the work. You've been listening, like you said, to the advice of all these people you talk to on a weekly basis, and your timing's gotten better. The Fuse is a great disc, and it's definitely good for beginners, I think. Sounds like you used to throw it all the time, and as you've gotten more powerful, it's now made its way out of the bag, but doesn't mean it's not great. It's definitely a good disc, and yeah, man, I just wanted to make a comment on that because I'm a huge EMAC Truth guy, and it's the best mid ever. So, but anyways, this sounds awesome. I wish I could have been there. Arrowhead experience, that'd have been sweet. Question, would you do it again?
Honestly, I don't think I would go to a different place. Like, I don't think I would set out to travel to go somewhere else to do it. Maybe if it was baseball fields, I would. I've got this weird thing with baseball fields where my life's goal is to go to every single stadium. Probably won't happen, but that'd be pretty sick if it did. So, because I feel like baseball fields and stadiums are way more unique than football. I feel like football and basketball, it's the same thing everywhere you go, where it's literally different dimensions. For baseball, every single park you go to, and every park is unique and has different historical factors to it. So, yeah. I know, like, last year they did the Cowboys Stadium, and for DDO, they do the Emporia State Stadium and all that stuff. But I think for me, man, would I do it again? I think, yeah. I mean, it was, I think, $90 to play. I got my fiance the $15 family pass so she could get in the door and walk with me. I think she would have played if it wasn't $90, and she had said that as well. I think if it was closer to like $50, she would have paid, or played, sorry. And we each got a beer, and it was like $30 for 2 beers, but they were big boys, so it was worth it.
Disclaimer.
So
Disclaimer, Quentin is the cheapest human being you'll ever meet. Okay, continue.
that is so true. Like, yeah, it's a problem I have. I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean like when I do something, like I want my quality to be as good as it can. Like I want there to be, when I spend the money, I want to get the value out of it, right? So like we currently are transitioning to making our own merch and stuff, and so I know I'm going to choose the highest quality products, and I'm willing to pay that price for those because I don't want to put out something that's a bad product, and that's why we want to, that's why the Patreon's important, because the more Patreon support we get over there, then we can use those funds to get better mics, get better cameras, get better equipment, pay the bills that we have every month, those kinds of things. So like, yes, that's all fine and dandy, but like when it comes to me personally and like spending my own money on things, yes, I definitely am going to err on the side of being cheaper, especially just with the way that everything is right now. That's just my outlook, and I've got a lot going on that I need to make sure I take care of. So yes, it's one of those things where I had fun. I would probably do it again, even if it was $90 to play again. I would probably do it again just because I am standing on the field at Arrowhead right now. Like, this is so cool. How many people can say that? Sure, everyone that's there can, but like none of my buddies from high school and college will ever stand on Arrowhead. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's just so cool. It's so surreal to be like, this is really where it happens. I get so mad on Sundays for this. So yeah, I would do it again. Yeah.
Cool. Heck yeah. Yeah. It looked pretty sweet. It looked like you guys my brother-in-law was there too. Shout out to Dylan. I don't know if you listened to this, but you definitely should, just like Josh. Anyways, he shot me some Snapchats and whatnot. And it looked like you guys were, walking through all you got like a little tour and you got to play on the concourse and.
I mean, send them to me. I'll see if I can throw them up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Just another reason to head over there. Also, another reason to head over there is we put out a new video every Wednesday. So we've got fun videos coming out every Wednesday. I think by the time you guys are listening to this, the latest one is going to be a 3-disc challenge one. The one before that was a lose a mold challenge. And Trenton, what do we have when they're listening to this? What's going to be Wednesday's video?
Either EMAC Truth Challenge or something we record this week. So
yeah. So check it out. Definitely go over there and go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're dropping tutorial stuff, little quick tips we learned from our interviews and yeah. If you got any ideas, which I think where you were going next, if you have any content ideas, make sure you shoot us a message on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit us with a comment down below, and shoot, if you leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, let us know there as well. That'd be helpful. Anything helps. We're trying to make what you guys want to see. So
exactly, and the goal for us is to really get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and we continue to get closer every single day. Maybe we'll definitely do a giveaway when we get there. So like Trenton said, we want to make the content that you guys want to see, not only for the podcast, but for YouTube. And once we get to 1,000 and, more of you guys are interested in that stuff, that then tells us, hey, let's put more videos out, right? So if you like the podcast, if you like the Wednesday video, your support over there, leaving likes on these videos, commenting, those kinds of things lead us to being like, hey, Trenton and I will talk and be like, maybe we should put out a 3rd video on Friday. So, that's definitely something that is on our mind and something we want to do. I think that's all kind of the housekeeping we got. Let's get into some more nitty gritty here. And so we're going to talk about key takeaways from my tournament, as well as I want to talk about some key takeaways from your round, because there were positives and negatives. And I think and this is something we do pretty much every time that we have a tournament, is it's good to reflect on what happened in your tournament, what things went well, what things didn't go so well. And being honest with yourself allows you to get better, allows you to listen to this podcast a different way. Maybe you hear some new advice. Maybe you go back to an episode you thought you were cool on and you go listen to it again because you need the refresher on those tips. So I want to start with you, Trenton. What were some things that went well during your rounds? And it just doesn't have to be this last one you played, just over the last couple weeks. What are some things that are going really good for you and some things that you need to improve on?
I'll start off with the good. I have picked up I have been throwing fairway drivers and a Wraith forehand every once in a while, basically, and my EMAC Truth basically for the last 6 months, I would say. And I picked up I don't have it down here, and I don't have one down here, but I picked up my Trespass. I had one Trespass in my bag, and I started picking that baby up, and it has became, if I need distance backhand, it has became what I throw. I get a nice, it's a 12-speed disc, but I get a nice, and that's kind of where the speed thing came in. But anyways, I get a nice, if I throw it on a little bit of a hyzer, it does a nice flip up to flat, maybe turns over a tiny bit, and then generally finishes perfectly straight. But the key for me is it's getting more distance than I've ever gotten. Backhand wise, now I've been able to throw a forehand pretty far for a long time. Never really, it's like 50-50 accurate. My backhand is becoming the most accurate shot for me, and I'm starting to finally see some distance, and that has been absolutely phenomenal. Another thing that I've been working on a lot is putting. I've always been pretty decent, but I think I continue to get better and better. And then my game.
Real quick. I want to cut you off for putting. What has been a thing that you've added to your putting routine at home that has helped your putting game? Wink, wink.
The tool I've gotten is the Disc Dot, which, as you guys probably have heard if you listen to us, we are sponsored by Disc Dot. But anyways, you can pick yourself up 1, 2, 3, 4, however many you want. Use code Clankers. That helps us out and get you 10% off. But they have been an amazing tool. Gives you something to look at and aim at while you're practicing. And you don't have to put it right dead center pole. I know I aim at the pole a lot, but you can kind of move them around depending on where you're shooting from. So like for me, when I start to get 25, 30 feet out or deeper, I need to aim a little bit more left because my EMAC judge, the amount of spin I put on it, most of the time when I'm that far away, it usually kind of fades to the right a little bit and then finishes left. So I have to aim a little bit more left. So that's a cool tool. You can put it wherever you need to aim. And, yeah, man, it's been a game changer. And then another thing, quick other putting tip, focus, like Jake Hebenheimer said, focus on what you're doing when you're throwing your putt, not where the disc goes. And I think you'll see big improvements. But yeah, man, been working on my putting a lot. Disc dot's been very helpful, and so that's been a nice little change up. But then the other thing in my game that's been going well, I'm giving you 3, is my upshot game. I basically feel like I can hit 150 or closer. I'm feeling really confident with the Justice right now. I usually do a forehand, but I can even do like a spike hyzer backhand, and it's generally pretty close to where I want it, so I'm loving it right now.
And talk to me about some things that are not going so well in your game. What are you reflecting on and trying to improve right now?
Yeah, so things that are not going well, I struggle mentally, man. We've talked about it a few times in the podcast, but if I miss my first few putts, it's usually not the first putt. If I miss like the first 3 or 4 putts, I get this stupid, thing in my head that just pesters me the whole round, and then I lose all my confidence. And I just need to work on what Gavin Babcock said, think of happy thoughts, or taking something out of the cookie jar, or taking your happy thoughts out of the cookie jar, or however he worded it. And I need to just focus on, pretend I am in my garage just practicing like I always do, or in my backyard, or wherever my basket is when I'm practicing. But I just need to imagine I'm at home practicing, because I know I can make the putt. I feel really good about 20. I feel really good 20 feet and in, and I feel pretty good 20 to 30 feet. But I don't know. It's a weird mental thing. And then every once in a while, if the putting's not going well, it's all mental. But if the putting's not going well, and then I get a rough hole, and then I kind of blow up instead of just taking a bogey, I turn it into a double or something silly. So,
which is kind of funny to me, at least, because I know when we're playing together and I see you lining up literally any putt where you can attack the basket, I'm like, this is going in. This dude's on fire. Because I definitely can tell that since you've gotten your disc dot, your putting has significantly gotten better and more consistent, and you're hitting more spots. And something that I think is important is really, truly, and I know we say it and it's easy to say and harder to do, but focusing in on the dot. It sounds so easy to do, but if you take everything out of your mind and the only thing you stare at is that disc dot, more times than not, you're going to hit the dot. And then your mind is just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it's there when you're putting in an actual round. I really don't know how to explain it other than like your mind has just been trained to do it. So yeah, I think your putting definitely has gotten a lot better. And so if I'm going to now kind of hijack this monologue, and I'm going to talk about my tournament, the Forefathers Fling, awesome tournament. Really, really well ran for sure. Shout out to Lucas Deal, who was our last guest. And then what did we say? We were talking about manifesting something good. And he said, I hope I can shoot 6 down and be on the podium. No, Lucas won the event, back-to-back W's for this dude. So this dude is on absolute fire right now. Shout out to Lucas. Awesome guy. Won it in a playoff. So really, really cool for him. And so for myself personally, first round, I've noticed something is my first round is a little bit slower than my second round, and I think I shot something like 904 to 911-ish rated in the first round. I ended up +2, and I was feeling not so bad, actually. When I saw it was a 900 rated, I mean, typically my first rounds have been somewhere in like the 870s, 880s. And this is a difficult course. The last time that I played a tournament at this course, I didn't come back for the second round. And I think I finished like +15 or worse. No. It was in the +20s. or something like that. Because on hole 18, I took like a +6 or something like that. It was very bad.
Which hole 18 is like a 500-foot, 20 yard wide tunnel, basically. Is it 20 yards?
Yeah, I would say closer to 30 yards. Or wait, timeout. Sorry, 30 feet, so 10 yards. Yeah, I'd say 10 yards wide. Yeah. So I mean, it's a monster. It's brutal, you know, especially because if you get outside of the row of trees, it's very difficult to get back in without pitching in. And so back then, what happened to me was I got on the right side, which arguably is the worst side, and I kept seeing like 3-inch gaps, and I was like, yeah, I can make that gap, and I never made that gap, and it was not good. But that was year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever it was. So my game's obviously grown a lot since then. And going back here, having this first round, the very first hole I got a birdie, and I was like, dude, I am feeling it. Then the second hole, I got a bogey. And I said, damn, I should have gone birdie. So that's pretty annoying. And it's just those jitters. I don't know what it is, and it's something that I'm definitely still struggling with, is that I just can't calm down during that first round, and then I go eat some lunch and come back for the second round, and I'm just like floating. I can't explain it. It's completely different. And so that's definitely something that I am trying to work on and get past. Absolutely. So I would say that first round, really, I wasn't playing my best, you know, just a little jittery. Couldn't really feel like I could put everything on the disc and trust it. I probably had 6 or 7 circle 2 putts that I hit cage or I hit band, and that completely turns around the round. You know, I finished +2. If I hit less than half of those, I think it was 7. So if I hit 3 of them, then I'm -1 for the round, and I'm walking away being like, heck yeah, dude, this was great. And so, okay, you're not going to hit all your circle 2 putts. I would have liked to have seen 1 or 2 go down, but the big improvement for me here compared to my last tournament is I wasn't ever scared to putt, and when I was going for these circle 2 putts, at least I was hitting cage or band, so it was a tap-in par. It wasn't like I was then having to shoot a 20-footer to save my par, because I know that's going to make me more nervous and more likely to miss those. So I would rather hit the cage than hit nothing. And I think everyone would agree with me there. But I definitely know that that's something I can improve. And, you know, you and I, we had talked about it, and I'll kind of spoil it a little bit here, I guess, is that I got a podium. I finished 3rd, and I was 2 back of first, I think, is what it ended up being. I think he finished even, and I finished at +2. So I shot even on the second round. And I was telling Trenton this, and I'm pretty happy with it. You know, I didn't play my best disc golf overall. On hole 17, I took a double bogey both times. I bogeyed a couple on hole 1 or on round 1 that I was able to clean up in round 2, and thus then I was able to turn those bogeys into pars, a couple of those pars into birdies. I had one birdie that I turned into a par that should have been a birdie. I just missed the putt low. That was annoying. That was the only circle 1 putt I missed the entire event, though. So I'll take that. That's pretty good. So very happy with that. And I know that I probably left 10 strokes or more out there. So I know there's more to get. If I am finding myself in a situation where it's like, dang, I really played my best and I still lost by 2, man, that hurts. But I know that if I played my apps, if I hit all my circle 2 putts, and I'm not even going to take away my other bogeys, I'm just taking away my 2 double bogeys, I win by 6 or 8 strokes. Like, that's a huge difference. The ceiling is so much higher, so super pumped about that. I know there's more in the tank, and I know things I can work on. One of the big things that I can work on is my approach game. I have found that when I'm in situations where it's not suitable for me to go with a jump putt, or it's too tight for me to trust going for the basket, or, you know, I don't know, just my approaches have not been great. I've been feeling with my justice, I either saw it off way too early, or I throw it way far past the basket, so that's something I think that just basic hyzer forehand is something I struggle with because I'm used to always having to put a little bit of flat or ante on it, so I don't know when to trust my ankle and how far to turn my body to the left to throw it on that hyzer for it to come in perfectly. So that's something I need to continue to work on. Something also I need to continue to work on is my berg approaches. I feel as though there were a couple of points where I pulled out the berg and it was the wrong selection, and I should have gone with something with more glide than the berg, or I know that I naturally throw with Anheuser or naturally aim a little bit more right, and I don't trust myself to point left because I'm used to sawing it off or it coming out earlier or whatever, and I don't want to take that risk. But I have to know with the berg, it's going to go super straight. So if I'm aiming right, it's going to go on a straight line to the right, and it's going to hit something. So, and this is a course that's pretty wooded. I mean, this is what, the second most woods course in the area other than Colwich and Colwich West? Yeah, so it's got a ton of wood, so it's not like you can just throw big bombs out there the whole time. You have to have finesse, you have to throw things with intent, and you have to throw them far while not throwing them super high. And so if you want to learn how to do those things, definitely check out our last episode with Lucas Steele. He teaches us how to be more accurate disc golfers, and he just won another event. So I'd go check it out if I were you.
Yeah, he's on a heater, three in a row right now. But no, I want to
balls back right now, bro. He has balls back.
No doubt. Is he heating up or is he on fire? He's on fire.
He's on fire. Yeah, once you get 2, you're heating up. Yeah, and then once you hit 3, it's balls back and you're on fire. Bang. We should do a
If you play the Pong, you know what we're talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you're underage, don't worry about it.
You can play Pong and be underage. Have you ever played beer pong with actual beer? I've only played with water.
That's how you play it with actual beer. I know it's kind of gross.
I mean, yeah, that's how you actually play it. But I've literally only played it with water, and then you're just drinking based off hits.
Or you're just casually drinking while you play. But so, I mean, sounds like we're gonna need to hit some field work, and instead of just trying to throw bombs, we need to work on upshots.
Yep, absolutely. And that's something that if you go back and listen to prior episodes, if you've been a longtime listener of ours, which we definitely appreciate, I said this year I need to get out in the field. I cannot just only play rounds this year. I need to be doing field work. And so, I've got some time coming up, hopefully that I might be able to get out into the field. It's been raining the last couple of days, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. But I need to hit the field consistently. I need to try to go once every 2 weeks, if not more often than that, because that's going to keep the form in check. That's going to keep everything looking good, feeling fresh. And it's not smart to always play rounds. It's just not, because you're going to get used to, well, this hole's only 280, so I only need to throw 280. You know what I'm saying? Or it doesn't matter how I get there, I just have to get there. So when you work on your form, when you go to the field, you actually improve more, in my opinion, than just playing rounds. And honestly, I'm not a big practice round before the tournament kind of guy, so definitely the more field work, the better for my game.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners are the same way as you and me. I definitely tell myself all the time I need to get out to the field and end up not going. And every time I go, I walk away learning 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 things, or figuring out like, wow, that felt kind of weird. I tried, something a little bit differently and it felt great. So, whatever it might be, every time I've gone to the field, it's been fantastic and I learned something. So you're not alone if you're struggling to go all the time, or go once a week, once every 2 weeks. But the more you can do it, I promise you'll get better.
And I challenge, go once a month. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Literally try it once a month. If you've never done field work, we have some episodes on field work. Check it out. But literally go once a month. That's what I'm asking, because I don't know about you, but like I love this feeling. But every 3 months, I look back at my game and I'm like, what was I doing? What was I thinking? And the field work just helps me get past those and being like, everything just feels so much better. And anytime I get in a rut, I just hit the field until I'm out of that rut, and it's better. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of it.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it's a game changer. So get out in the field, throw some discs, go with the purpose. Don't always just try to throw as far as you can. Try to work on something. Take your camera or your phone and watch yourself back, and you'll learn a ton of things. But yeah, man. So the Derby tournament, you got a 3rd place finish. Heck yeah. Let's get a round of applause up in here.
First
Nicely
ever
done.
podium. Felt
Nicely
good.
done.
And the funny thing was, okay, I'll be honest, there's a tied for 3rd, but my name was listed first, so I got 3rd. And I went into the last hole, and I told y'all, I'm not checking scores. And I didn't check scores. I didn't look at my score one time. Anytime somebody started talking about scores, I literally walked away from the card. I didn't want to hear it. And the one time I heard it, I went past the Mando, and yeah, so annoying. But I can't be a prick and be like, no, you can't talk about scores with me here. So I'll walk away. I just was still, unfortunately, still in earshot, and it got to my head. But with that being said, I did not look at scores. And on the very last hole, I pretty much went for the ace run because I was like, whatever, I'm not going to win. I don't know. I literally had no clue where I was at. I think I put myself 12, 15-ish away, kind of sort of behind a tree. I had no clue that I needed to hit this birdie to get that tied for 3rd and to be in, 3rd place because I was in 5th. And so I hit the birdie. And then the guy who was keeping score was like, dude, that was clutch. And I had no clue. And then I looked at it and I said, that was clutch. Let's go. So yeah, I'm a big proponent, man. Don't look at your score. It doesn't matter. Just go out and play your game. It's only going to get in your head. Unless you are a high level advanced player like you're Lucas Deal or you're an MPO, FPO player, don't look at the score. It is only going to get in your head. There is no way you looking at the score is going to make you better. I don't care how good you think you are. It's not going to make you better. You're going to put unnecessary pressure on yourself. And then if you don't succeed, if you don't get the outcome you desire, you're only going to be mad and you're going to be more frustrated about the event and about your game. And you might just burn yourself out quicker. So don't look at the score. It's not worth it.
I'm going to have to agree with you because even in like casual rounds with just you and me or with my buddy or whatever, I'm always offering to keep score. I kind of like to see where I'm at. And I think there's something to be said about it's unintended pressure that you just put on yourself. And I think I do it even I'm a competitive person. So I think I do it in just casual rounds. I think looking back, it's not a good excuse, but I think there was probably a little bit of pressure on myself. I put unintended pressure on myself to try to beat my buddy at this on Friday, and then I ended up taking a 6 on probably the easiest par 3 on the course, and ended up tying with him, which is fine. But yeah, man, I think that's a good point. But it's hard because for me, I like to keep score, and then in the tournament,
and I get that. But like for me, like every time I am keeping a U-disc round, I've had experiences where the scores just don't match up at the end. So whomever is keeping score, preferably not me, I'm going to keep my own score on my watch and just confirm that we have strokes correct at the end. And I don't pay attention to the plus, minus. The strokes. I literally go in, I tap, I hit the 3 or hopefully the 2, hopefully not the 4, and I swipe it and I look away. I'm not actively counting my strokes in my head. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm keeping it so I know it's legit and everything is correct for myself. But I'm not paying attention. There's no reason to pay attention. You're putting unnecessary pressure on yourself.
I like it. I'm gonna try it next tournament I play in, which will probably be in a month or 2. I'm gonna try it and not offer to keep score for the card and see how it works.
And I'm not saying don't be that guy who's like, no, I'm not going to keep score, which I know I'm kind of bad about doing that. I'm never going to raise my hand and be like, I want to keep score. So I'll be honest. I will be honest. I will never be the guy who stands up and is like, yes, I'll keep score for the card. Maybe I'm a bad person for that. Roast me in the comments, tell me I suck or whatever. I know there's that one listener who always likes to tell me I suck every like 3 months. I haven't heard from you in a while, so let me know. But I don't know. Don't pay attention to your score. That's all I have. Just go off vibes.
I'm gonna give it a shot. Was the point of what I was saying. I wanna try that out. See if I can. Who knows? I might not notice a difference, and it might not matter because everyone's different. But who knows? I might have the best round of my life. So we'll see. So what did you do, if anything, to prepare yourself for this tournament?
Great question. Absolutely nothing. That's not true. But I didn't play a single practice round. I've played Derby enough. I know what the course is. I have a rough mindset of what it's going to look like. I can mentally tell you what every single hole looks like, and that's good enough for me. I'm cool playing a mental round, kind of like Jake Hebenheimer was talking about. I can play a mental round, think about where the tee is, think about where the basket is, think about what I want to throw, and imagine it going correctly for me. Imagine that positive outcome, what the good outcome is. I don't need to go there and play the round on courses that I've played and I can tell you from memory what each pin location looks like, because all I'm going to do is add unnecessary pressure. Let's say I go out there and I shoot a 5 down, and then the first hole I get to that I birdied 3 times in practice rounds, I get a par. I'm going to be pissed and I'm going to be mad, and it's just going to build. The cycle is going to be bad. So for some people, playing those practice rounds are great, and I'm not going to discourage you about that. But I know for myself personally, I will be frustrated if I get a birdie on a hole every time in practice and then it doesn't happen in the tournament. I also know that I'm going to play differently in the tournament than I am in practice. I cannot replicate that by myself out there. So maybe league would be a good way to practice for me personally, but I know that I will play the mental round, and when I get there, I'll probably play, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 holes and throw a couple shots on each one of them. The ones that maybe I'm not feeling too good about, just to warm my body up, make a couple putts, and I'm just gonna go for it. I'm trying to take as much of that mental load off and trying to get rid of expectations, trying to get rid of pressure, because at the end of the day, we're out there for fun. Like 99% of us tapping into this podcast right now are not going to be Paul Macbeth. As much as we want to, it's not going to happen. So I want to enjoy the time that I have out there. I want to be competitive. I want to win. I want to be the best disc golfer I can be. And I think a lot of the people listening to this podcast agree with that. They want to be the best disc golfer they can be. That's why they subscribe. And I know that if I put unnecessary pressure on myself, I can't be the best disc golfer I am. I'm at my best when there's not a single thought going on in my head, and I'm just there.
Man, I've said it like 20 times this episode, but you're opening my eyes to some new stuff that I never really think about with the whole practice round thing and putting unintentional pressure, kind of like you said, or subconscious pressure on your own throws. Because I can think of, every tournament at Oak, it's like, okay, cool, hole 1 through 4, you should birdie. And how many times have realistically,
if you do that, you're competing. You're in contention. Absolutely.
Very good chance. Basically, those are the 4 holes that are most gettable, in my opinion, from the short pads, I should say. But
short, if they're short to short, yeah, you should go 4 for 4. Yeah.
So
it
when
should
you
be
play
like
reds or blues, right? You should get. I don't remember if it's red or blue, but regardless, you local Wichita people will know what I'm talking about. Those 4 holes, I generally play pretty well when I'm just out there having fun with my buddies or in a practice round, because I've shot practice rounds there because we have a tournament, Saturday, go out Wednesday or Thursday. And I think out of the 6 tournament rounds I've played at Oak, I think I've gotten 2 birdies, if I'm recollecting correctly, out of those 4 holes in the 6th round. So that is, I don't even want to do math right now, but that is horrible odds. And I probably get 2 or 3 birdies, not every time I play casually, but I at least get one of them every time I play casually. So that's a good point, because I do beat myself up a little bit. So interesting.
And the thing is, we talked about it today, for this next tournament that I have coming up, the Doodah, it's 2 rounds at Oak, 2 rounds at Herman. I have not played Herman in 2 years. I could not tell you what a single hole at Herman looks like. So yeah, I'm going to go do a practice round or 2 at Herman just so I know what the holes look like and I physically know where I'm throwing the disc towards. But that's it. I'm like, my last practice round is going to be like the Monday before the tournament. I'm not going back there after that. I don't need to play Oak before that. I know what Oak looks like. oh, they moved the pins to a different location. When I step up to the tee-pad, it's the same thing. I've played that location before. So for me personally, I know I don't need to do those things. If you're going to a tournament and you haven't played that course, or you don't know what that course even looks like, you need to A, do the Ron Converse tip that we got and walk the course backwards, and B, maybe go get a single practice round, maybe two if you need it, to know where the holes are, so the day before you can play that mental round and envision yourself having success there, instead of going there, playing the best potentially that you'll ever play there, and then beating yourself up on tournament day and then never being able to mentally get over it.
Yeah, these are some great tips, I think, for anyone who is, I don't know, like me, wondering why you kind of struggle when you play tournament rounds and or even league rounds or even any rounds. Like if you go play by yourself and you feel like you're feeling good, and then the second you go play with your buddies, or you take your significant other out there because you want to show off, or whatever it might be, you show up and you kind of struggle on a couple holes you don't normally struggle on, and then you're trying to tell yourself to be confident, be positive, and act like no one's here and just play the game, and then you still struggle throughout the round. And I think a lot of it's got to do with this unintended pressure that we put on ourselves to be better. And, man, I'm learning something every day. Even when I'm talking to my buddy Quentin just on the Chain Clankers podcast, and we don't have a professional on here telling us how to get better.
I mean, that's the point. That's the point. And that's why subscribing is valuable. We don't always have to have a guest in order to get some sort of value out of this episode, right? There's no reason. And this happens with everything in life. We put unintended pressure on ourselves in our finances, in our house, in our car, in our job, everything that we do, we put unintended pressure on ourselves. So we need to find a way to alleviate that, because if we don't, and we go to tournaments, and this happened to me when I was, first year playing disc golf, I'd go to tournaments, I'd play 10 strokes plus worse than I would during my practice rounds, and I would walk away from that tournament being like, this was a waste of my money and a waste of my time. I'm never playing a tournament again. And that's not the outcome you want to have. And something else that I'll say about it is that, and I'm not calling nobody out or nothing, but I saw pure anger and frustration and giving up this past weekend. And that's something I never want to do. And I know that a year ago, 2 years ago, I was capable of that. And even when I play casual rounds, I don't want to be that guy. Like the last time that you and I played a casual round, we literally all put our hands in together before we got started, and we said no bad vibes or whatever it was.
Positive vibes or something
positive
silly
vibes,
like that.
Yeah.
We did a little
something
break.
like that. Like, I don't want to be negative on the course. I don't want to be angry on the course. I don't want to have a bad experience. I don't want to be like, I can't fight from this. I don't want to let what's happening to me get me down to a point in which I give up, because I saw that, and it's not fun to play with when that happens to somebody. You feel kind of bad for them, and it brings down everyone's vibe, and it's something that I saw, and I don't want to do that. As you guys know, we have been putting out questions for episodes, and so we did that again, and so we got a couple of them here, and so we'll just go through them real quick. Let's just do the top 3, since we're getting a little bit long on time, and there's one more segment after this. It's not going to take a whole lot of time, but I just want to do it because it's hot and spicy. So first question we have coming from Fleming, 186160. Do you straddle or stagger putt?
Definitely stagger putt 95% of the time. The only time I will straddle is when I'm behind a tree or a bush or whatever it might be and I need to. Or I'm, there's some reason I can't stagger putt. And the main reason being, I don't practice it enough and I'm not as confident with it. So there's another takeaway to work on it a little bit more. I just putt a lot better in a stagger putt, and
I have transitioned from both, and like when I very first started, I think I was straddle, and then I went to staggered, and I went back to straddle, then I went back to staggered, and then for like 2 weeks, Horatio saw me really go in on the straddle, and we were playing around, and I missed a putt to win it in doubles. Just it was my buddy and I against his buddy and him, and I missed a putt to win it from like 15, and we ended up tying, and I was so pissed at myself that I said I'm going back to staggered. And so yeah, but I still do practice it a lot because I know it's gonna come out and it's worth putting in the time. So I it'll be like maybe 10-15% of my putting practice, but I still do it so that way the motion is down and I can hit those when needed.
Right. I think I do practice it too. I should say that. I probably like if I'm putting 200 times, I probably do like 30 or 40 straddle putts.
Next question comes in from Sean Glado. I probably mispronounced that because I physically cannot read. I'm incapable. Did you see the cool new destroyers and wraith designs? Have you seen those, Trenton? I have not.
I mean, if he's talking about the Heimberg Halo, I did see that one, and I did like what they did with the plastic. But no, I'm a big Wraith fan, so I might have to check that out. I did not see the Wraith. I probably haven't seen either, to be honest with you.
Last question we got comes from Chris Combe 2. Do urban/DD Arrowhead experience type of courses have a place on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in the future or just novelty? I think that's a really good question. I think the answer is no, it does not have a place on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, unfortunately.
I would have to agree. The only way it would, they would have to, I mean, obviously the Arrowhead experience was designed for everyone to have a good time and not be too challenged. The only way there would have to be like a modified champion level course. And to be realistic, there's probably not enough room, definitely not at stadiums. Especially, you wouldn't be able to make.
I don't think there's enough room.
You wouldn't be able to make them hard enough without putting like, you throw from right field. You throw from the south end zone up to the third deck in the back of the concourse or something silly like that. So yeah, definitely not. But I mean, an urban style course, like isn't F1 in a town? How does F1 races happen?
Well,
are they on a track
depends.
or are they like through town? Like
It
F1
depends.
version of disc golf?
There's street circuits and there's just regular tracks. So like Miami was technically a street circuit because it was in the Dolphins parking lot. But like if you look at Azerbaijan or Monaco, those are literal street circuits. They're in their streets. But if you look at like what did we do? I think Barcelona just happened, or like the one in Austin, like those are literally just tracks. So it would be like, yeah.
But imagine like a I'm trying to think of like a cool urban environment. I'm not well traveled, so I don't know. But there's got to be a cool urban environment. You would have to shut down too many places.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't work
that's
out.
the problem. That's the problem. You would never be able to get the general public out of the way for it to be.
Which is why we have beautiful big tree parks that no one touches, that the cities own, that end up being BA disc golf courses.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be cool, but I think it's something I'm really surprised that Dynamic is the only one kind of doing these things. Like, I assume Discraft is going to hop on this idea here pretty quick as well. Maybe Innova will do it. I don't know. But, I mean, they got to be turning a pretty good profit from doing something like this. I think almost 600 people signed up.
Oh, shoot. No wonder we're not having the Trilogy Challenge this year. They can get $90 a head to... Yep, here we go. We still do not have all our initial inventory, so it's not 100% guaranteed that all of the early events will be approved. Please do not start your registration process with your customers until you have received an email from this email indicating your event has been approved.
We should run a Trilogy Challenge.
The challenge schedule will officially start on June 4th. But I think it used to be early.
By now
I feel like it used to be May.
Yeah, absolutely.
Says we would recommend hosting your event later in the season. Yeah, so they're just a little delayed.
Yeah. Well, I did want to get into something hot and spicy, but honestly, I'm going to let a little bit more time pass, and then I'll get into it. I know we've got another awesome interview next week, so we're not going to do it on this one, but just know it's an FPO debate. So
I was gonna say, let me get a sneak preview.
Pretty much,
Nope.
Page Beer.
Nope. Oh, are we talking about it?
Nah. It Page Beers, FPO. Who knows what it is? You'll have to make sure you subscribe so you find out in one of the next episodes. It's good. I have like 3 tabs open ready to go on this, but we just simply ran out of time because we were having too much fun talking about other things. So yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. Hopefully you did enjoy. Make sure you are subscribed to us on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Those 5-star ratings and reviews are really, really helpful. The reviews are awesome. You guys sending me messages over on Instagram is super helpful. Letting us know what you guys want to see, what do you guys enjoy, those kinds of things. Make sure you check us out on Patreon, as that does help us pay the bills and allow us to upgrade our equipment. So if you want to continue to see our operation grow, that is very critical. And we think we actually are providing some value. Unlike some other folk in the space, we believe we can actually provide some value to you, and it's not just a cash grab, because we are never going to be a cash grab. We want to, anything that we are asking money for, we want to make sure we put out a great product for you guys, because we do care about you guys, and we never want you to feel as though you're being ripped off on anything that we do. So definitely appreciate all of you guys that are tapping in and week out. What do you got, Trenton?
I was just going to say, and anyone who's still listening right now, you guys are the ones we're talking to for this Patreon thing. You guys are the real supporters. We really appreciate you guys. And I wanted to just let you know, if you haven't checked it out, we do have the value that my man is talking about. You get, well, you'll have to check it out. But the main thing I wanted to put up here is we are going to be adding, once we have a few it's Eagle Club, so mid-level and higher level supporters, we're going to be adding an extra podcast to the schedule, and it's going to be, we're calling it the Roundtable Podcast. I mean, that's what we the name might change. We're calling it a Roundtable. We want to do it monthly. If we only do it once a quarter, depending on who signs up. Basically, highest level, we get a roundtable podcast with all of those supporters, and we do what we're doing right now. We talk about things we're working on. We talk about different ways to improve, and then even the mid-level, you can get on that podcast quarterly, so once every 3 months if you are interested. And if we get some mid-level supporters and we do one, and then every other month we do, or every couple months we have another one, we would love to hear from you, love to talk with you. That's the point of that. It's some of the value we're adding. There's way more value than just that. But if you want to get on the podcast and you want to chat and have a good time with Quentin and I, and who knows, we might even be able to sign up some guests for those every once in a while.
That is true. The goal is, once there's enough folk who regularly come through, we're also then going to get pros to join us as well. Link in the description below for that. Like I said, it does help us pay the bills and upgrade our equipment, which is important, so we can continue to put out a better product.
Right, and we have 0 right now, and I know you, yeah, I'm talking to you right there. I know you want to be the first one. So get in there and check it out.
I will personally send someone, whoever is first, I will pick out a disc in my collection, and I will send it to you.
So will I. You'll get 2 discs.
I will make sure it's not a trash disc. It'll actually be a disc that you could maybe use. It won't be like the Polecat, because the Polecat sucks. I don't care what anyone says. The Polecat sucks. That's not my hot take, but the Polecat sucks. It's so bad. But that's going to end this episode. We've gone on long enough for an outro. You guys are awesome. You're the reason we get to do what we do every week. We love doing this. We want to do this full time. Thank you guys for all your support and for listening. We'll see you guys next week with another awesome interview.